Okay, so now I'm going to do some eyebrows on this baby so that I can get her cooked and be done with her. I just discovered my jar of browns. Actually, it was just tipped over and there's a couple fuzzy hairs on them. So I'm going to get rid of all the fuzzies before I start so I don't have to be annoyed when I have to pull them out of the hair. All right. So this is my paint that I'm going to use. It's really thick. It hasn't been used for a while, so it's kind of coagulated in there. So we're going to re-lubricate it up and get it up and going again. This is a mixture of like brow browns and maybe a little bit of black, a little bit of the burnt umber maybe. I haven't mixed this jar for so long that it's kind of a mystery. It's just kind of a nice dark brown color. Eyebrows can be put on in any color you choose to match whatever baby hair coloring you're doing. And this baby is getting kind of a dark brown hair to cover up what was already there. So we're going to give her an under pair of eyelashes or eyebrows that starts with this base color, and then I'll top that with a darker brown. This is my hair painting or my eyebrow painting brush. This used to be an itty bitty pointy brush that I have trimmed down to basically, I don't know, like 8 hairs. Itty bitty and fine and pointy. This is the brush I choose to use for eyebrows. And I have to put my glasses on because I like to be able to see what I'm doing on these fine details. Eyebrows are a bit of a controversial subject for reborn artists because a lot of little babies don't really have a lot of eyebrows, and a lot of eyebrows that are put on are almost on the verge of too thick. So before I actually paint this on, I'm going to give you a pointy stick demonstration of where the eyebrows should go. This paint has not been cooked yet. This is just seconds after my last tutorial video of how to put these little polka dots on the nose. So I don't want to touch it too much, but your eyebrow line, if you start right on the inside of your eye, the crease, and line that up with the flange of your nose and make an imaginary line through it, right there on the brow would be the beginning of your eyebrow line. On the outside of the eye, it's the same. You line up the nasal flange with the outer line of the eye, and that would be where your eyebrow ends. Just because it starts there and ends there doesn't mean you can actually see hair there on little tiny babies. A lot of the hair you see will be itty bitty pixie dust type hair that is like translucent. So we don't want to make it too thick on the inside. I'm using tiny little strokes and my paint is a little bit thinner. And I'm going to start by coming up from the bottom of the eyebrow. And as soon as I have a kind of an idea of where it's going, then I'm going to flip the head over and come in from the top of the eyebrow and make it a point where they meet. All the little fine fuzzy baby hairs on your baby's head will be kind of aiming to this shape. I'm going to give it a little more color on the outside than I will on the inside, just to make it look natural and newborn. And this color is like, it blends right into the head, so I don't want to put it too thin, but I don't want to put it so thick that it sticks out. It's just a baseline to start with. Now out here is where it's going to get naturally kind of thicker, because the outer hairs on the eyebrow and the hairline are going to start coming into it. So I'm actually going to start those little fuzzy hairs for the edge of the hairline on the temple area. I don't know if you can see that very well. Sometimes it doesn't show up very well until it's dry. And my new hairline is going to kind of come down to the front of the ear. And all of this will be filled in with new hair. And then this hair back here will come sweeping forward in a natural pattern. These are just the base color. This is a lighter color than is actually going to go on the baby. So I'm going to come back with some of the darker stuff as well to give it kind of a highlight, low light type of effect. It's hard for me to paint hair on the table, but I'm trying to keep it on the camera's view. Normally I stick it in my lap and crunch into this little ball so that I can get it in the right angle. So I'm trying really hard to make it so it's visible for everybody to watch. And these hairs are going to be little fuzzy wuzzies that will come down to her cheeks and start on her little lanugo hairline, the fuzzy baby hairs that are there when they're born. I'm going to blend that with some lighter hairs. Teeny tiny strokes. You don't want giant hairs on the head right in this area, because the hair is naturally like less than a ½ an inch long. So you just teeny tiny little hairs does the trick. And painting hair is a time-consuming, long task. And many layers to create the depth that you need. You can't just pop it on in one go and call it good. All right, so that side's got a good base. Now we're going to come over to this side and hold our tongue to the left a little bit and try to match it. And for some silly reason, one side's always better than the other, no matter how hard I try. I can never really get them to be exactly perfect on both sides. And this baby has not been painted, so I cannot wipe this off, or it's going to wipe the other details underneath of it off. Oh, like I said, it's tricky to get it into the right position. Since I'm right-handed, I can't just switch hands and make it the same way go on the other eyebrow. These little tiny baby hairs are super important when you're trying to pull off the super newborn look. It helps to blend the hair that you're rooting in with the rest of the hairs that look natural. Apart from Jacqueline Kramer, I don't know anybody who can actually root the tiny fuzzy hairs accurately looking. Again, I'm going to bring some of these little fuzzy hairs down onto the top of the cheeks. Most of these are just going to blend right into the skin, but they're going to be there, barely there. All right, so now I'm going to look at my eyes and my eyebrows and see where the differences are to try to make them look a little more even for this first round. Okay, so I'm just trying to check to make sure that we're kind of symmetrical. And I know I've put the paint here before, but it's faded already to be a little bit more pale than the other side. So I'm going to come back and add a little more. Whoa! Giant globs of hair paint. Bad juju. Again, see, that's too dark. Gently wipe that off since it's away from one of my danger zones of not being able to wipe. My paint is moving down my brush and I don't want to touch that to my head because it'll make a big globby mess. So I'm going to take off that extra paint. Okay, I think we're just about there. For a base layer. I'm hoping that that's even visible where you otherwise you've watched 15 minutes of invincible painting. Okay, so I'm going to cook this little one now and then I'll come back with another layer of brows. I'll be back in a minute.